about branding on the wall?
So, I think doing the actual brand in an orderly fashion, each of the 7 strokes, having a certain ritualization, maybe each of the strokes has something that's said with them, and maybe repeated after the stroke is done.
So like that somebody says the thing while the stroke is being done, and then the person that's getting it done repeats it afterwards?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, you guys come up with something and propose it to me.
Okay.
Well, because you've done it, so what would have been most meaningful, deep, surrendering, focusing for you?
I think it probably having it whispered in my ear and then me repeating it out loud. And then having it whispered in my ear and then me repeating it out loud.
Well, ask the others. It's not all you.
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
No, I said all of you guys who've gone through it.
Yes. Okay.
The other thing is, you guys did it and you weren't completely nude because you had a outsider and a guy doing it, or whoever. Do you think the person who's being branded should be completely nude and sort of held to the table like a, sort of almost like a sacrifice? I don't know if that's a feeling of submission, you know? So, yeah. It also, of course, videoing it from different angles or whatever gives collateral. So probably should be a more vulnerable position type of a thing. Back, legs slightly for legs spread straight, like feet being held to the side of the table, hands probably above the head being held, almost like tied down, like a sacrificial whatever. And the person should ask to be branded.
Okay.
Should say, please brand me, it would be an honor, or something like that. And an honor I want to wear for the rest of my life. I don't know.
Okay.
And they should probably say that before they're held down, so it doesn't seem like they're being coerced.
Okay.
I don't know, those are just thoughts.
Well, welcome guys. This is the episode that I've been waiting to do for a while about the NXIVM case. You guys saw a little appetizer there to what we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be a lot of disturbing things that we're going to be discussing today, unfortunately. But again, you saw some of the main actors in the beginning of the video. We have Keith Ranieri, Nancy Salzman, Lauren Salzman, and the Smallville actress Aliceandmac, Linda, we got, and Cathy Russell. And we're gonna go into each one of these key players that are involved in this sex cult, and I'm gonna go through each of the ones to start this. But we're just gonna get a quick overview. We're gonna discuss the key players in all this, the Hollywood actors that are involved with this, because there's a lot of intermingling of this sex cult and this child porn and these human trafficking, sex slaves, and a lot of this is going to be tied into a lot of the Hollywood actors. And we're going to kind of go off this case a little bit, and I'm going to show you guys some of the links between Hollywood and some of this pure evilness that Hollywood is on this awesome Twitter thread by a girl named Digital Soldier on Twitter, and we're going to end it with that. So let's jump right into this, guys. To start out, we have the main head guy here, Keith Ranieri. He is the leader of NXIVM. He's the one that created it. He is also he wanted his people in his cult to call him the Vanguard, as you can see here. I highlighted it there. And he created this company in 1998. It was a self-help company, people that wanted to get a vision of where they wanted to go in life. They wanted to get motivated. So he was kind of like he promoted himself as a self-help guru. And that's how he started to get people netted into his company here. So, as obviously this was started in 1998, so there's been a lot of time for this, for him to start what he wanted to do, I guess, as far as his sick idea of starting this sexual cult, what he called it self-help. But we're gonna go right into how he pretty much seduced women to get into his corporation and his company, and how he formed a group of women. He brainwashed them and got them to do what he wanted to recruit other women. We're going to go right into this. Let's just start. So we have Ranieri induced women to have sex with him by insinuating that he would leak damaging information and nude photos of them if they did not comply. So he would have different levels, because this company was also in big trouble for being a big marketing pyramid scheme. And he would get women in, they would take the courses or whatever, they get sucked into it, they loved it so much. And if Ranieri thought he could manipulate them even further, he would say things to them, say super nice things to them, to seduce them pretty much. And once he got video footage of them, or he got any kind of dirt on them, he would use that as leverage to pull them in even deeper. And eventually he would completely gain control over their consciousness and brainwash them even further, and he would pretty much have them at that moment and have them trapped. So right here it says, during closing statements on Wednesday, prosecutors alleged that Ranieri stole money through fraud and subjected his followers to sadistic punishments and starvation diets, which we're going to get into later. And I just wanted to give you a brief overview of who he is. Again, he is the founder of NXIVM. He's the one that is the head of this disgusting cult, and we're going to jump right into his second in command here, Aliceandmac, who was his main recruiter. And Aliceandmac, which most of you maybe know, she was a star in the series Smallville that went on for 10 seasons, again linked to Hollywood. She joined his inner circle, and she eventually became the top recruiter to find other women, because she had her name. A lot of women knew who she was. A lot of women watched that show, so her celebrity status was able to net more people in. And right here, the article says, Mac, an actress who played Chloe Sullivan, Clark Kent's friend on the WBCW Superman series Smallville for 10 seasons, she joined NXIVM to find purpose. She soon joined its inner circle, and in the 2018 New York Times interview, said that she herself came up with the idea to brand women. I was like, you all tattoo? People get drunk and tattooed on their ankle, BFF, or a tramp stamp, she said. So, and right here, prosecutors allege that Mac playing a key role in recruiting women. So, again, she's the main recruiter in this whole entire cult, this disgusting cult scheme that was going on. And to go down to the next person here, another big name here, Nancy Salzman. And now, like I said, that Keith Ranieri's name in this cult was the Vanguard. Members of the group called her the Prefect. It's just so weird. And she was pretty much the person that it says right here. After Ranieri and Mac were arrested, Salzman's home was raided by federal agents. She was charged with racketeering. In March, she pleaded guilty and confessed to stealing email addresses and passwords of suspected moles in the group and ordering videotapes to be doctored. And right here she says, I accept that some of what I did was not just wrong, but criminal, she said in a court. If I could go back and do it all over again, I would, but I can't. Of course, she would say that. She's in the courtroom. She's going to look as remorseful as possible to look good in front of the jury, but she's done. So, right here, again, so she was the one. She was a psychiatric nurse. She played the mind games as well. She helped Ranieri take care of some of the back end stuff as far as getting identities and getting people who, especially outside the country, in the country, and to use them in the cult. And we're going to go more into this a little bit later too. The ones that had come from different countries, the immigrants, they had it even worse because they were not supposed to be here. So that was also used as a fear tactic to keep anyone from leaving or saying anything about what was really going on with this company. So the next big player here we have is Lauren Salzman. This is Nancy Salzman's daughter. Apple is not too far from the tree there. She's the one that oversaw the branding ceremonies that Aliceandmac was wanted to do. And you guys heard in the pre-recording before, I jumped in the video, the recording of Allison and Ranieri talking about the process and making up the procedure for the branding ritual. And right here, this woman here, Lauren Salzman, she was considered a master. And you're going to see here, once Aliceandmac started to get more women involved with this, they refer to themselves as masters, and the people that are recruited, they refer to them as slaves. So she was the one that oversaw the branding ceremonies. She pleaded guilty to all this, obviously. And there's a part here where it says knowingly and intentionally harbored an unnamed woman in a locked room for more than 2 years, threatening to deport her to Mexico. We're going to go into that a little bit later too. Just absolutely disgusting things. And she goes and in this article she goes and explains that seeing the branding ceremonies were the most painful thing she ever experienced, and said the woman in the DOS were subject to punishments like standing barefoot in the snow, according to the New York Times. So this DOS here, I'm not sure what this is, but I do know it is a loose version of Latin, and I found whatever the DOS means, but it translated to Lord over the obedient female companions. You're going to see in this case that Ranieri wanted to have complete control over these women. The dude was a narcissist, obviously. He made himself out to be this genius, this savant, because he went to this really nice school. He was saying that he had over 200 and something patents for new technologies, and he just sold the stuff to women, and women just, they gushed over this stuff. Just furthering his psycho tendencies to rope more women into this. And he did have some men. You're going to see some people that are associated with the NXIVM, but he didn't really want men inside of his self-help groups. Obviously, he wanted mostly women. So the other one here that we have, the other big name, Clare Bronfman, she's the heiress to the Seagram Liquor Company. She also served on NXIVM's executive board and allegedly created an access point for the company to dip into her family's fortune. In 2010, a lawsuit claimed that many millions of her family's money had been spent in connection with NXIVM. So the Bronfman, she's the one that was funding most of this, because she obviously, Seagram's liquor is a huge liquor. It's a staple liquor in our country and around the world, which I will never be drinking ever again. Not that I drink really much anyways, but I have had Seagram's before. But now that I know what she's linked to, this whole NXIVM thing is related to child porn, child slavery, human trafficking, child trafficking. She used millions of dollars of money from this company, from Seagram's, to fund NXIVM. And it's absolutely disgusting. And of course she says, "I am truly remorseful," she said in court, according to the New York Times. Again, saying remorseful, using words to try to sway the jury. But again, when this trial went to court, it only took 5 hours for the jury to come up with a decision to nail Ranieri, the head of this cult, on guilty on all the charges. So there's no this didn't really happen. These women are just damaged. There's none of that. These are all the charges, and you're getting nailed for every single one of them. And the last big name I have here is Cathy Russell. We're going to get into the Hollywood people later, but these are just kind of the people that were running everything. The recruiting, the running the finances for this company. And Cathy Russell here, she was the bookkeeper for NXIVM, right here. NXIVM's bookkeeper for more than a decade. Prosecutors allege Russell conspired with Ranieri to smuggle a non-resident alien to the United States through Canada by giving the person an ID card with the information of a dead woman. These people are sick, guys. Absolutely sick. Ranieri had all people working for him doing terrible things. So we're going to jump into the Daily Beast article here. And we're going to go into some of what Ranieri's tendencies were of what he wanted to find in women. And right here it says Ranieri preferred exceptionally thin women, so slaves, and that's in quotes. He called his women, in this group, slaves, had to stick to a very low-calorie diet and document every food they ate. As punishments for not following orders, women were forced to attend classes where they were forced to wear fake cow udders over their breasts, while people called them derogatory names or threatened with being put in cages. And prompted by a potent word-of-mouth network, they include Sheila Johnson. So these are the people that Ranieri, because Ranieri had a good marketing team, and he wanted to get big names, Hollywood names, anyone that he could get. And these are just some of the people that he was able to rope in. Again, prompted by a potent word-of-mouth network, they include Sheila Johnson, the co-founder of BET, the Black Entertainment Television, Antonia C. Novello, a former U.S. Surgeon General. That's a U.S. Surgeon General. Stephen Cooper, acting chief executive of Enron. Anyone that knows anything about Enron, corrupt company. The Seagram Fortune's Edgar Bronfman Sr. and two of his daughters, and Anna Christine Fox, daughter of the Mexican president. Emiliano Salinas, the son of the former president of Mexico, likened Ranieri's course to a practical MBA. So my whole point of reading that to you guys is that this guy was a master manipulator. He was able to get big-time people in society as far as actors, the Mexican president's son, the Seagram. I went into the other woman's name, not Linda Evans. Let's see, I got it right here. Might as well just go back and look. Clare Bronfman, right here, Seagram's fortune. Edgar Bronfman Sr., the father of Seagram's, and two of his daughters. The other one is Sarah. So these are the people that he was recruiting. These are the type of people that had money, they had power. And he wasn't doing that for no reason, obviously. Alright, so another few of the people that we're going to be talking about here, the other people that were linked to NXIVM, that, let's see, it says right here, 2010 Observer article called out a few high-profile dabblers, including billionaire businessman Richard Branson. Branson reportedly has hosted an intensive NXIVM course on the Caribbean island he owns. It was listed along with Sarah Bronfman as one of the two benefactors of the 2008 Albany A Cappella Innovations Conference, the culmination of Mr. Ranieri's brief obsession with the Capella signing. According to Sir Richard Branson, he's never heard of Keith Ranieri, he has never met him, and there's no associates between Sir Richard and NXIVM Group. So guys, you have to realize what was going on. NXIVM would hold these huge events, you know, they would try to get their name out there, they were trying to get politicians to jump on the bandwagon of this self-help group. None of them really knowing what was going on as far as all the sex stuff and the slavery stuff and the child stuff. There was kind of like an initiation process where he would have, you know, he would get somebody that, you know, they could have potential, and once they started hanging out more, doing more of the classes, you know, they would then determine, okay, I think we can get this guy roped in, and we can get some dirt on him, and we're gonna get him involved, and it's just gonna, you know, be able to get more money and more power into the group. So this guy, Richard Branson, you know, he owns his own private island. God knows what they were doing there. Probably terrible things to these women. And he's saying he had no idea who Keith Ranieri was, but he's hosting parties for the group. That don't make any sense, guys. So around this time, again, this is 2008. NXIVM's been going on since 1998, so some time has gone by. So this Ranieri guy has been able to, you know, get some traction, get some time in to really establish himself and to get as many women as he can, you know. And as time went on, people were starting to get a little weary of what was really going on, and they had started to hear things about this different group, the DOS group that they called it, the women that were recruiting the masters and the slaves. And people had started to hear about this stuff. And the woman here, Goldie Hawn, canceled her engagement with us next week because of the false press. This was an interview supposed to be done by MSNBC and Forbes, and well, they had run a couple stories. MSNBC and Forbes had ran a couple stories on NXIVM, and it had, you know, people had heard it, and they were like, we don't want to be associated with this, so Goldie Hawn had canceled it. And this cancellation was cited in 2009 in the Daily Gazette, which argued that the Dalai Lama, I'm not going to make any crazy claims here, but the Dalai Lama was also invited to one of NXIVM's events. The Dalai Lama ought to cancel an upcoming trip to Albany in light of the fact that it was sponsored by Ranieri founded group, the World Ethical Foundation's Consortium. So she had canceled her interview because she was starting to catch on to what was going on. Again, none of this was proven, but she had heard rumors and she just didn't want to have anything to do with it. And then the Dalai Lama had heard about this stuff. She had reached out to him and he was like, I don't want anything to do with this. Obviously, again, this is right here, Dalai Lama, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. Should be a no-brainer, right? But it gets a little weirder. While the Dalai Lama did initially cancel his visit, according to a 2010 Vanity Fair expose, what happened next is something of a mystery. The article continued. People believe that Sarah and Clare Bronfman, again, the two sisters linked to Seagrams, flew to Dharamsala, India to plead with him, and if so, it's possible they were just extremely persuasive because His Holiness changed his mind. So I looked up, guys, stuff linked with Dalai Lama in the NXIVM case. I don't know if the Dalai Lama is just ignorant to really what was going on. I saw some articles where he was paid money to speak after he had already canceled. So I don't know if he just took the money because, you know, it was $1 million or so. I don't know the exact number. You can look it up yourselves, but I'm not saying the Dalai Lama is linked to any of this or he's evil or anything like that, but it is just weird that he did cancel. These two people, Sarah and Clare Bronfman from Seagrams, who have huge connections to NXIVM, flew out to plead with him and he changed his mind. So it could have just been they were super persuasive and he wanted to, you know, he still wanted to do it. But there's some people out there saying that the Dalai Lama is no good. He's just as evil. He took that money. But I'm really not going to get into that because there's no way to prove exactly what was said. And you guys can look that up yourselves. So very, very strange. So just to give you guys some more names as far as Hollywood actors that were involved with NXIVM, we're going to go in right here. The Times Union piece also named a contingent of actresses including Linda Evans, Nikki Klein, Aliceandmac, and Christine Kruk. We're going to go into Christine Kruk a little bit. She's the one that actually got a hold of Aliceandmac, the top recruiter for NXIVM. And she's the one that introduced Aliceandmac to Ranieri when this had all started. Grace Park was best known for her roles in Hawaii Five-0 and Battlestar Galactica, took part in the Keith Ranieri Conversations, a collection of informal thoughts on civilizations, ethics, and humanity. While the conversations featuring Park appear to have been taken down, remnants of Park's participation can still be found on the internet. So obviously these people didn't really know who they were dealing with, and their names have kind of gotten smeared because of it, but you know, that's on them. But again, this is Hollywood being involved with disgusting people like Ranieri that are involved with child sex slaves, pornography, and human trafficking. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again because when this story came out, the mainstream media was barely touching the story. Barely touching it, because they're all focused on Iran right now because they want to push the war agenda. They want to distract people. And stuff like this, stuff that's actually going on, the real stuff that's going on, they don't want anything to do with it because there's actually some Democrats that are linked to this as well. And of course, the media is all politically driven now. If they sway to the left, they're going to protect their own, and they're not going to give it really any attention. But I'm just going to keep saying that because I'll go into that later. I know those terms are disgusting, but it is what it is. So on Wednesday, Parlato told the New York Post that Kristen Kruk, this is who I was just talking about, actually introduced her Smallfield co-star Aliceandmac to NXIVM. Kruk had come first sometime around the late 2005-2006 time, said Parlato, although she allegedly left in 2012. Parlato further claimed that Allison was used, as with Kristen, as a lure to bring in other women because of their celebrity status. So again, guys, Ranieri used Hollywood actors because they had a name, they had the celebrity status, and they knew it would draw in hopefully more beautiful women and other women into this cult here. So what exactly were these women forced to do? And this is where it gets really, really, really weird, guys. We're gonna go up here. So I showed you guys before in the intro video some of the brands. Here's a little video of it, or clip here. I'm not gonna play it. On Twitter, there's actually a video of one of the branding ceremonies. I'm not putting it in my YouTube video here. It's pretty graphic and it's hard to watch. And I don't want my channel to get taken down because of it. It is pretty graphic. It is out there. You can search it. The one, I think it was filmed in it's in Spanish or something, but it shows what Ranieri and Aliceandmac were talking about on that pre-recording that I showed in the beginning of the video, where Allison's asking about the procedure. Should we lay them on the table? Should they be nude? Should they ask for it so it doesn't sound like we're coercing them? All this psychotic, thinking and manipulative thinking to get people to say that they want it. It's sick stuff, guys, but this is some of the things that were going on that he was doing to the women. Several women testified how they blindly obeyed their masters, screamed when they were branded, and were pressured to have sex with Keith Ranieri, the founder of the group called NXIVM. Again, he's facing multiple charges, including racketeering, sex trafficking, sexual exploitation of a child, and human trafficking. And the article just keeps going. The woman Ranieri recruited for his inner circle saw him as their master, and they eventually came to view themselves as masters as they recruited more women to be their slaves. Again, that's the terminology they're using, because this is a cult, obviously. While recruiting them, the masters would insist the recruits provide information about themselves as collateral to encourage the recruits to keep information about DOS secret. Again, DOS is just the upper rankings of NXIVM, the Aliceandmacs, the recruiters, and the sex slaves themselves. According to an affidavit prepared by an FBI agent and filed with Ranieri's arrest warrant. Several women testified in court that they shared sexually explicit photos, granted access to their bank accounts, and recorded videos with damaging stories that would hurt their families and those closest to them. Some of the women said the statements were not even truthful. So guys, this is how he was able to keep control over the women in this group, in this cult, so they wouldn't get the word out in case they wanted to leave, and throw all of them under the bus. They literally had access to their bank accounts. They made damaging videos of themselves saying that they did things that they never did. They would threaten to send these things to their families, ruining their relationships with their families, and pretty much threaten to ruin their lives if they decide to get out. And because people always ask me, like, well, why didn't these women just, why didn't they just whistleblow? Why didn't they just try to escape? I've never been in a situation like this, and God forbid, I hope I never am. I won't ever put myself in a situation like this, but hearing the testimonies of some of these women, I don't know if they really had a choice. They were being threatened with terrible, terrible things. So this is how he kept control of these women. And right here they talk about women were branded with Ranieri's initials. It's hard to see if you guys can actually pull up a picture of the initials on Google Pictures. And it's hard to, I couldn't really see it at first, but it is actually his initials. It's the K, but it's kind of like, it's put horizontally right above their bikini line. And a lot of them were branded with that. And unfortunately, that's on them for the rest of their lives. But here we go. It continues to talk about how Ranieri thought himself as a savant, super intelligent. A former NXIVM member who was identified only as Jay testified that Mac told her she had to seduce Ranieri and let him take a naked picture of her. Mac told her it would get rid of all your sexual abuse trauma. The woman said, I was horrified and enraged with the fact that she would try to re-traumatize me and say that doing something sexual with someone that I obviously didn't want to do that with would heal my sexual trauma, and was disgusted, she said. This guy's a sicko. There's no way to put it. He's a piece of shit. Completely terrorizing these women that were already had issues, and making them take pictures of themselves and just saying terrible things. And right here, another woman who testified in court said Ranieri told her that women would see a blue light if they swallowed the semen. Again, this is seen in the Catholic Church with the priests that prey on children and do terrible things to little girls. This is just typical of someone that's psycho. He's a sociopath, and this is what the crazy cult leaders do. Now, remember I had mentioned that, what was her name? Laura Salzman. She's the one that oversaw, where is she here? This woman right here, Laura Salzman, the daughter of Nancy Salzman. She was the one that oversaw the branding ceremonies. And remember I had told you guys about an unnamed woman who was locked in a room for more than 2 years, threatening to deport her to Mexico. This right here is what this is about. There was 3 sisters that were, I guess, I don't know if they were illegal immigrants, but they were from Mexico, and they did get them over here. They were minors, and they were all they all went to this NXIVM group because they wanted to be part of something great. You know, they bought into the idea of what NXIVM was about as a self-help thing, and they all went. And right here it says a teenager from Mexico went from being a promising high school student in Mexico to being pulled into a self-help curriculum at NXIVM. Daniela, who was identified in court only by her first name, testified that she moved to Albany to help the group's mission and work for Ranieri. She was instructed to hack into the computers of perceived NXIVM enemies, mostly former members of the group, and was not paid for much of her work. While she was a minor, this is important, guys, this is where the child stuff comes in. While she was a minor, Daniela testified she was groomed for a sexual relationship by Ranieri, who she said had sex with her days after her 18th birthday. Ranieri was in his 40s at the time. Pedophilia. It just makes me so angry just hearing this stuff. But he's a shitface is what he is. And this wasn't the only girl that this happened to. There was many other children. We're gonna get into that right after we get through this article. And this is the one I was talking about that was kept in captivity for 2 years. So there was 3 sisters. This was one of the sisters. She testified that she was confined to a room for 2 years. She could not leave a room. And the whole reason why was because she had caught feelings for another NXIVM member. Ranieri did not like this, and he punished her. So he took away her phone, her computer, and her immigration and identification papers. Her only way of getting on a plane, leaving the country, was being taken away from her. So he took anything that she could have used to get out and had her completely controlled. And right here it says, in her cross-examination, whatever the lawyer's name is, asked her why didn't she just walk out of the room. Daniela testified that she feared her family would no longer speak to her and that she would have no place to go, since her legal documents have been taken away by her family at the urging of Ranieri and other NXIVM members. So these 3 daughters, Ranieri had talked to these families in Mexico and said they're going to learn so much. We're going to set them up for life, give them knowledge that they need, that they're going to be able to use for the rest of their life. And these families not knowing what was going on. So the daughters wouldn't talk to the families. Ranieri would be talking to these families and would be telling them, you know, the best thing we're going to do right now is if I take their papers, you know, and this is how we're going to do things. The family's not knowing how sick this guy is, going along with it, because they don't suspect any foul play, and they have no idea that this stuff's happening to their daughters. And the daughters aren't going to say anything either because they don't want to be, you know, they don't want to be just let go by their family and completely excommunicated. That was what I was thinking about. So yeah, so these are just some examples of some of the crap that's going on, especially to the younger women. And you're wondering how did children get involved with this? How did that come about? How was he able to get children involved with NXIVM? And eventually, like I had said before, and that previously stated, that how are these children being groomed for sex when they are of age? Like what happened to Daniela here. Well, lucky for you guys, I have an answer to that. And right here, where did these children come from? They came from none other than the Rainbow Cultural Garden daycare centers. Now, this was very disturbing when I had come across this, because I was wondering myself the longest time, where did these children come from that they were taking and grooming them to be eventual sex slaves in this cult? And right here, The cult was found to have imported child sex slaves from Mexico, even providing them with fake identification to disguise the slaves' illegal immigration status. And some of these were illegal, some of these were not. It didn't really matter to them how they got them, but there was at least, I think, 7 or 8 of these in the United States, these daycares, 2 in Europe, and some other, and a few in another couple places. But this goes into what they would do to these children once they were there, once they were into the on the grounds of this place. They called this the human fright experiment. They do the human fright experiments where they subject women to surprise graphic viewing, similar to A Clockwork Orange. Parlato told Big League Politics the Albany-based Garden hosted Dr. Brandon Porter's sick experiments. The most diabolical experiments that he conducts are experiments where babies are subjected to a constant succession of strangers who take care of them instead of their parents, and the strangers teach them foreign languages. The cult members' children, they are pressured to give up their children to Ranieri. They pay $10,000 to Ranieri for the privilege of having Ranieri teach them how to speak. So this is Ranieri's marketing, one of his marketing schemes, to get parents to pretty much give their children away, and have them bestow his knowledge to his children so they become smarter than any other kid. And they would pay $10,000 for the privilege of that. So once Ranieri had their kids, 7 different nannies would spend time with these children each day and speak 7 different languages, rendering the children illiterate, confused, and permanently intellectually damaged. So these are kids, guys. These are like, you're talking 3, 4, 5-year-olds and up. A typical daycare, right? They were with strangers that they didn't know. They were being supposedly taught, but they were just spoken to in different languages throughout the week. And there's another page I'll show you guys. These children, not one of them learned any different language, and all it did was just mess their brains up. And they're going to have permanent effects on these kids for the rest of their lives because, you know, the younger they are, they're more susceptible to learning things, and if they're not taught the right thing, obviously, it's going to put them way behind. And as they get older, obviously, it's harder for the brain to hold on to things like that. So, and the other weird thing was, I don't know how any of these facilities, these daycare facilities were created, but not one of them. The Department of the Children and Families has no tolerance for any activities that put children at risk, including operating an unlicensed child care facility. So guys, these facilities, the Rainbow Cultural Gardens facilities, they weren't even licensed to be taking care of children, and they were completely operating, being funded by NXIVM. That's where they usually were getting these kids from. They're from these daycares throughout America, and the daycares, there's one in London and a few other places in Mexico. And they were getting children, and they were literally grooming them to be sex slaves or trafficked, and literally using them to make profit. And this is what Ranieri, this was the other dark side of this whole entire case was about. So I wanted to get into that, guys. I don't really have any more information besides that at this moment. This stuff was really dark for me to look at. I've been getting this stuff together for days now, and it really does take a toll on you, seeing how evil the world really is. But luckily, this guy's behind bars, and everyone's gonna be getting the justice that they deserve. So, of course, though, I gotta get into one other thing. How are the Clintons involved with this? The Clintons are involved in, it seems like, almost every evil thing that's on this planet. But the benefactor, the one that's linked to Seagram's, wanted back in 2008 when Hillary was running for the presidency for the first time. She was sending thousands of dollars to the Clintons. And it says right here, Seagram's hires an accused NXIVM benefactor, Clare Bronfman, tried to buy influence for the alleged sex cult by illegally raising money for Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign. A former group member testified. Bronfman funneled thousands of dollars into Clinton's campaign coffers for far in excess of legal limits to contributions to curry favor with the powerhouse political family. NXIVM members and their families plunked down a total of $29,000 for Hillary's campaign that year, election records showed at the time. So guys, this is what I was saying before when you know, all this recruiting had started. NXIVM was really trying to get a lot of big actors, big Hollywood actors, people that had names, people that had money, and they were also targeting a lot of political figures. They went after the Clintons, and particularly, and I always wonder why. Why do they go after the Clintons? Why would they want to? Why would they support? They would think they would support NXIVM. With all the other crap that the Clintons are linked to, it just makes it even worse for them. I don't even know what to say anymore when it comes to the Clintons, to be honest. So that was something I wanted to throw in there for you guys too. It just makes this already evil thing even more uglier. That they were looking to get the Clintons' approval of this operation that was going on. The terrible things, you know, the Clintons have already been accused of a ton of human trafficking, children trafficking things, and so forth. But so the last thing I want to get into, guys, was this awesome thread made by who I now follow. Her name's Digital Soldier, and she went into a lot of the NXIVM stuff, and then it starts to tail off into Hollywood and how Hollywood's linked to these members and the crap that they're doing, and it's really scary. So I'm gonna go through this thread, guys. I have to show you this, and I hope you guys get something out of it. So her first one says here, if you're still paying to watch Hollywood films or to drink Seagram's products, you're enabling child sex trafficking. You're constantly choosing to give your money to fund operations run by slave owners. So here's Aliceandmac here. I'm not sure who that is. That's another actress here that's involved with NXIVM. But again, this just gives the breakdown of the court case. United States versus, this is Keith Ranieri, Clare, Aliceandmac, Cathy Russell, Lauren Salzman, Nancy Salzman. And here are the pending counts: sex trafficking of children or by force, fraud or coercion, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of children by force, fraud or coercion, attempt to establish peonage, slavery, involuntary servitude, and human trafficking. All disgusting things, especially when it comes to children. So again, this is just some pictures of the islands that these women were on with Ranieri. Picture NXIVM Dr. 37, who branded these sex slaves with the founder's initials above the Fijian line on their Fijian island. Again, more mentioning Seagram's Iris here. More articles here with Aliceandmac. Again, everyone knew she was the sidekick that was part of recruiting for all this stuff. More stuff in Aliceandmac. So we're going to keep going down here. Again, NXIVM was operating 11 daycares, which we just talked about, the rainbow places, the daycares in Albany, New York City, London, Madrid, Guatemala City, Mexico City, and other Mexican cities. Penelope Cruz paid $120,000 to enroll her daughter in a NXIVM school. Raquel Pereira, wife of Grammy winner Alejandro Sanz, was director of the Miami location. Here he is, guys. Winner of a Grammy, he's part of Hollywood. His wife was running one of the Miami daycares linked to the NXIVM case. More links to Hollywood and child sex trafficking. And he put his own daughter, their own daughter in this, paid $120,000 because it was $120,000 a year to enroll into this NXIVM school. And they put their own daughter in here. Terrible, absolutely terrible. We keep going. All the people that are here put on a pedestal, regarded as examples of glamour and success, that were told to support and emulate and aspire to be like our human traffickers. They are smuggling children across the border and enslaving them for sex work. And here's a screenshot. This was shocking to me. Would you look at that? Oprah promoted a guy who was selling babies as sex slaves and was literally farming people. It says Faith Healer with millions of followers had a slave farm and sold babies to highest bidders. There's that picture. Oprah's got his arm around this dude. That goes into some things with Angelina Jolie, which I'm really not going to get into. Madonna, we all know Madonna's involved with Luciferian satanic stuff. And a funny meme with Hillary, of course, involved with human trafficking. What a surprise. And we keep going here. They are pimping their own children for social and financial gain. They are predators on Tinder, recruiting your children to rape and enslave. And this one was a little bit shocking to me. So this was an excerpt from an email from one of the mothers who wanted to send their daughter to Ranieri's school. Ranieri's sex slave offered up her own daughter as a virgin sacrifice to him. So remember when I told you guys the women that were recruited here, obviously some of them had their own children. This mother was going to give her teen daughter as a virgin sacrifice to Ranieri. And she is quoted saying, "I am 100% clear that you are what I want for my daughter." Rosa Laura Junco wrote in an email to Ranieri in 2015, and she attached her underage daughter's Loris's school schedule. Guys, this is so disgusting. Her own mother was giving her school schedule to this freak. You know, it's just, this stuff's happening. This stuff is happening in this world, and it's happening all over the place. Hollywood's involved with it. We're gonna keep going. Now, everyone knows about the college tuition scandal that's been going on. Laura Laughlin, daughter of Olivia, leaves yacht owned by top USC official. And guys, I've never heard of this term until today. It's called yachting. And the story goes as Laura Laughlin traveled from Vancouver to LA Tuesday night to surrender to federal authorities in the college bribery scandal, which got her daughter Olivia Jade into USC. Olivia spent the night on the yacht of the chairman of USC's board of trustees, but she's off the boat now, TMZ has learned. So what's the point of me showing you this, guys? So, another Hollywood actor. She was in trouble. She wanted to get her daughter into USC. So she did something called yachting. And what is yachting? Yachting is a term for Z to C-list celebrities who need money to supplement their incomes and in order to keep up appearances. They will go on a yacht, typically owned by a millionaire/billionaire, and do what said millionaire/billionaire wants, which is mostly sexual. Celebrity will also most likely be caught by the paparazzi on the yacht, and people will think that the celeb is paid. So guys, this is something that the paparazzi is very aware of, and this mother put her daughter right here on a boat with one of these chairmen of the USC. Probably did all these disgusting things to her, and she gets free tuition in the school, or she gets paid some money, you know, to keep paying her bills. And this is what Digital Soldier's talking about. They're pimping out their own children just to keep income coming in, to keep up appearances. NXIVM leader alleged had sex slave troll Tinder for more virgins. Obviously, they're using Tinder to recruit girls as well, particularly looking for virgins, obviously, for Ranieri. And just a couple other things here. And that's it for that one. Okay. And again, this says absolutely no news outlets mention that Cathy Ranieri and Aliceandmac are charged with sex trafficking of children under the age of 14 while the silence. The mainstream media was not reporting on this barely at all, which doesn't surprise me. NXIVM doctor accused of conducting human experience like fright studying, which we had talked about, and now it's starting to transition into more of the actors that are involved with this. This one was creepy. Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson have matching friendship tattoos. You can see Marilyn Manson's here, Johnny Depp's here, and this guy's right here is a tattoo from one of the NXIVM slaves that they got while they're inside of the NXIVM Corporation. That is weird. Weird link. Two rock star, Hollywood star, both have the same connection. Odd. Picture of some actors here with babies and children. Super creepy stuff. And look at all the babies. They're all crying. They all look just sad, upset. It's just a terrible picture. Things about Ashton Kutcher recalls first kiss with Mila Kunis when she was 14. Isn't this illegal? More stuff, Angelina Jolie. I'm going to keep going here. We're going to wrap this up, guys. And this one here was about an actor grooming a young boy that she filmed with. Let's see it here. What's her name? Asia Argento. Asia Argento. She did a film with this little boy, and she had become infatuated with him and groomed him for years. These are all the screenshots as he grew up. She kept in contact with him, and she eventually raped him. And she played the role of his mother in a movie, and it seems like she had a sick and sensual fantasy about him ever since. And as he got older, obviously, he figured out what was going on, and what was going on was sick to him, and her boyfriend, this actor's boyfriend, paid off $380,000 to this guy, and this is him, all grown up right here. Anthony Brown paid $380,000 to Asia's orange sexual assault accuser and denies she had sex with a 17-year-old. More Hollywood. It's just crazy. This is some pictures of hip tattoos compared to the branding from NXIVM. And the one other thing I want to show you guys, this was creepy. This goes into she goes into Olsen twins being involved with Hollywood since they were 9 months old. They began filming at 9 months old here, and it goes into she married this guy Nicholas Sarkoz's brother. Creepy, creepy, creepy right there. And let's see here as we go down. Here's more pictures, and it says, and she looks like she has been steadily declining since she had been with Olivier. This is a 6-time time span. So I scroll these pictures, guys. This is, look at this. Her face. Look at that face. And there she is there. I think, like, you don't, no one really thinks about this stuff. They really don't. The dark side of Hollywood is all kept in secret. It's disgusting. How society sees Hollywood, how truthers see Hollywood, all the weird symbols and signs that they have. And again, this one goes into Nancy Salzman and the Bronfman sisters, you know, again, related to Seagram. NXIVM are members of the Clinton Global Initiative. Again, the Clintons. It's an invitation, only requires a donation of at least $15,000 annually. The Clinton Global Initiative. So NXIVM's linked to this, and here's a list of the other supporters that are linked to this. Alabama Shakes, Al Gore, Angelina Jolie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bill Clinton. More actors connected to this. And one other thing I want to show you guys is this. Abramovich is a spirit cooking in the Podesta emails. Abramovich is NXIVM. Abramovich is Jay-Z and Beyonce. Abramovich is Jeff Koons. So this is an email to Tony Podesta from Abramovich. I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you'll be able to let me know if your brother is joining? All my love, Marina. And here's a picture of this lady, and here's Aliceandmac, the top recruiter of NXIVM. Sharing each other's pictures here. They're all connected, guys. It's insane. And here we have, again, the spiritual cooking is all the satanic, sacrificial stuff, this Luciferian stuff. Super creepy, weird things going on there. And here's a picture of Jay-Z with this woman right here. It says, build your fences, we dig in tunnels, can't you see we getting money up under you? We got that. Jay-Z, Kanye West song here. Here's a picture of Beyonce, Jay-Z, and the woman behind him. And a little article here says Beyonce accused of extreme witchcraft harassment by former drummer. I never knew any of this stuff. And it goes into some other things here, which I think you guys get the point by now. So, in the last thing she tweeted here, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. If you're still paying to watch Hollywood films or to drink Seagram's products or enabling child sex trafficking, you're consciously choosing to give your money to fund operations run by slave owners. So, guys, that's all I have for you. I know it was a lot of information. We'll see what happens with this case, because the punishments still haven't been handed down. Ranier's guilty, but we still have to wait to hear what he's going to get as far as how many. He's probably going to be locked up for life, but just wanted to show you that, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please share this video with as many people as you know. I had stopped supporting Hollywood a while ago, mainly because their movies are just trash. Hollywood's running out of ideas, but now that I really know what Hollywood's all about and the things they're linked to, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. What's going on too is the next big thing that's going to happen is probably the Scientology community. That whole weird religion is also linked to this as well, and that investigation is just starting. So there's a lot of things going on that are being exposed, which is fantastic. And we're gonna get into that too, but not for this video. We've done enough for this video. But so be wary of Hollywood, guys. Spread the word about this. This case is huge. Again, it's the tip of the iceberg as far as what people can finally see as to how Hollywood's linked to child pedophilia, child trafficking, child porn, human trafficking, weird sex stuff, and just, creepy satanic things. So get the word out there, guys. Share and subscribe and like this channel, please. I'm having so much fun doing this. We're up to 42 subscribers now, which is awesome. It's slowly growing. All my social media platforms are growing, and it's all thanks to you guys. So please share, subscribe, and we're going to keep the ball rolling here. I'll probably have a video out in the next, 3 or 4 days, hopefully, and we'll go from there. So enjoy your Saturday night, guys, and stay woke.